You've been called to make a presentation or to give a TV interview. It's sort of a last-minute thing, and you haven't fully prepared. Well, what can you do under those circumstances? I suppose you could get very nervous and start to talk really fast, or start to mumble a little bit, or talk a little quietly, or look away. Nah, you don't want to do any of those things, or all of those things. You want to speak confidently, clearly, make a good impression. But what can you say and what can you do so that you feel really in the moment, focused, concise, and clear? I have 3 tips. First off, think about what is the main idea that you want to give. I just got off of a Zoom coaching with a client who had a presentation to make at an annual retreat that the company goes to. And this person is an expert in their field, was going to give the presentation to colleagues, some of whom knew the material very well, so it was sort of a re-education or reintroduction of it, and other colleagues who weren't familiar with the material at all. Well, in preparing to give the presentation, of course, my client did lots of work, put together a beautiful PowerPoint presentation, had other work duties to do, the conference itself, and suddenly it's the day of, and they realized, I never really practiced it. I never really had a chance to say it out loud. So what could that person do under those circumstances? What can you do when you feel as though, I have this talk to give, where can I put my energy? Well, the first thing you can do is put your energy towards the main idea and just ask yourself, what is it that I want to share? So for instance, in this video, I want to share with you how to make the best presentation you can make when you don't feel or aren't completely prepared. Think about what the main idea is. What is that topic, that takeaway you want them to have? For instance, I recently gave a talk on the work of the voice and speech and clear, confident communication, and it came down to 3 ideas: voice, speech, and presence. But the whole idea was clear, confident communication. So think about your main idea, your main topic. If you're being asked to give a TV interview and you have 1 minute to give some sound bites, think about what that topic is. What is it you want to say? Then drill down onto 1, 2, or 3 points in that topic, in that conversation, so that you're really clear and concise and you can give your interviewer a nice sound bite. Because that's really what we're about these days, is giving sound bites, giving little sentences that say exactly what it is you want to say. Be clear, concise, and confident. That's a sound bite. So the first thing is, think of the main idea. The second part is drill down on those ideas. Come up with 1, 2, or 3. In the situation of my client and giving this topic, they brought up the PowerPoint. The presenter's notes, of course, weren't there. It's sort of like if you were being asked to give a talk and the microphone was right there and it's a room of 100 people, and suddenly the microphone goes out. What do? Do you start to talk as loudly as you can and yet your voice isn't prepared? No, you dig down, you speak out, you use your breath, you do what I always coach you to do, which is speak out. But in this case, you don't really have the preparation in terms of, I haven't done the practice. Well, come up with those 3 ideas. What are those 3 ideas? If in the case of the PowerPoint presentation, you actually have these nice slides you can land on, then you can take your time in each slide. Each slide is an opportunity to breathe and to share the excitement, the enthusiasm of your message with your audience. So, certain little points you want to make, 1, 2, or 3. Let's say I just wanted to talk to you about voice. I'm being asked about why is voice important? And I would say, well, voice is important because it tells the listener what you're feeling, what you're communicating, and it makes an impact on the listener. That's a possible choice. I just made that up. But if you have the possibility within you to actually talk about something specific, makes it much easier. Be specific. If you have time, come up with 3 ideas. So if you were being asked on what are the biggest problems with this situation right now, and you were to say, again, I'm kind of making this up as I go, but you were to say that it's A, B, and C, then you have a very clear point. You can also hear it in my voice. There's A, there's B, and there's C. If it's a short 60-second interview, then you leave it at that. There's A, there's B, and there's C. Boom, done. If it's a 2-minute talk, there's A, there's B, and there's C. Well, with A, there's the whole idea of using your voice to talk out. I'm just giving some examples right now, but the point being is come up with specifics. The third thing you can do is have anecdotes, have stories. Use your own personal experience to be able to talk about any topic you choose. What is it that you've gone through in your own life that you want to talk about that sheds a light on this? When it comes to voice, speech, and presence, I can talk about how it's very easy not to have a voice that is strong and confident, and what that means and what you can do to fix it. I can talk about personal experiences I've had with clients who have experience, have knowledge and expertise, but they don't have that ability to actually communicate that experience, knowledge, and expertise because they haven't practiced using their voice. You see, there's an example. Or if I were talking about speech, I can talk about my own speech and saying, gosh, when I was a kid, I just mumbled. My one thing that I always return to is talking too quickly. It really was very detrimental to me because people would say, what? What did you say? And even today when people say, what'd you say? Which happens very rarely, I'm pleased to say, I get that feeling of my shoulders going up and I feel almost like shameful. So again, I tell that story, what kind of impact does it have on you? Or presence. I could talk about presence and say, think about that person you might have met that you feel, wow, they have some kind of charm, some kind of magnetism. And what did that feel like for you when you were around them? And again, I'm just coming up with a personal experience of thinking about those times I've met somebody that I've thought, wow, there's a certain radiance they have. So you see, I've just gone through voice, speech, and presence, giving a personal example in each. One was more general, one was sort of an idea, and one was a specific example of me. But I used the specific example of my client going through their PowerPoint presentation and talking about what they did in those circumstances, and that way I have something I can talk about. Remember, you are filled with experiences and feelings and emotions and stories. So the way, or rather the more that you can drill down on those, maybe write them out so you have a whole list of stories and anecdotes you can share, the more you come to terms with what your passions are, with what you love to do, with what really motivates you, with an experience that has changed your life. The more that you do that, the more that you have those at your fingertips, the easier it becomes to answer questions when you feel on the spot. Here I am on the spot being interviewed about something, and suddenly all those little things we start to do, getting tightened up, our shoulders going up, our eye contact going this way and that, our voice getting smaller, our chest kind of getting nervous and closing in, all of those things can be freed up because we have that story in our gut. We have those stories in our mind, and our opportunity is to share them. So, if if you ever don't feel prepared, remember, what's the main idea? My main idea was here to help you when you don't feel prepared. The second is come up with 1, 2, or 3 points drilling down on that. I give you those stories, individual stories of voice, speech, and presence. And finally, think about personal stories you have that you can share. Because once you start to get specific about a story, suddenly you can talk on and on about those specifics because it starts to give you more ideas. It starts to ignite that sensation in you of, wow, I'm telling a story. Try those 3 things: main idea, specifics, personal anecdotes. Start practicing those. See how they go in your next presentation. Let me know. I'm Patrick Munoz. Thanks for watching.